If you're listening to this, then you're listening to Facts 5'em. If you're listening to somebody else and they say they're Facts 5'em, then they are lying. Or, well, it's possible I'm on another channel, but that's very unlikely. In fact, as of recording this, only one person has ever invited me on their channel. It's nice of them. His name is Skip Frontz Jr. Check him out. I guess I'll put his website in the description. But today, I'm going to be looking over an article from the wickedest of the 50 states, South Carolina. Yes, South Carolina, a state so evil that it corrupts all who dwell within it. A state so wicked that the other 49 states, and DC, and Puerto Rico, and Guam, and every other territory that the U.S. taxes without giving representation to, can only look on in horror at the abomination before them. Why is South Carolina this way? I don't know, but I feel like they should be known for something, and may as well be evil. I'm running with it at this point. I mean, it's the state that gave us Ben Tillman, after all. Ugh. Anyway, this article is about the Freedom Caucus of the South Carolina state legislature, and how they seem to be interfering with the GOP's mission to seem to make life as miserable for as many people as possible. At this point, anyway, that seems to be their mission. Maybe I shouldn't be too rough on them. I mean, there's lots of swell folks who are Republicans. I don't have any ill will against people who, have conservative views on things. It's just at this point, it seems that the grand old party seems to enjoy inflicting pain upon as many people as they can. And not even in like a cool metal way, just in a particularly mean way. Well, let's take a look into what the state still run by Tillman's Constitution is up to. Initially published on foxnews.com on January 27th, 2023. Freedom Caucus revolt brewing in South Carolina after GOP asks them to sign so-called Soviet-style pledge. Freedom Caucus members say liberal Republicans are quote-unquote weaponizing procedures to target conservatives. Because if there's one thing that South Carolina is known for, it's moderate Republican Party. As well as just, moderate conservatism. In general. Oy vey. Members of the South Carolina Freedom Caucus are accusing Republican leaders of the Statehouse of asking all Republicans to sign a so-called Soviet-style pledge or face removal from the GOP ranks. In a letter released this week, Freedom Caucus members said they believe some elected officials in the state are weaponizing newly adopted controversial caucus rules to expel conservative members. Late last year, House Republican leadership in the South Carolina Statehouse issued a set of 17 rules and required all Republicans to adhere, abide by, and comply with them. If any member chooses not to sign the new requirements, they could face disciplinary action, including expulsion from the GOP caucus. Okay, I just have to ask, why is Fox News using woke grammar? Let me reread this, okay? If any member chooses not to sign the new requirements, they could face disciplinary action. Now see, the use of the singular they right there demonstrates just how woke Fox News is becoming. They should have said he or she, written like, if any member chooses not to sign the new requirements, he or she could face disciplinary action. You see, you gotta catch the woke grammar before it comes for you. The state's Freedom Caucus members took issue with several of the proposed rules, including bans on engaging in campaign activities against any other Republican in the caucus, and a prohibition on relaying any discussions among members to outside groups. The conservative Republicans took those to mean that if a more liberal Republican were pushing against conservative measures, Freedom Caucus members would have no recourse or ability to have discussion with grassroots operations. They also say the rules prohibit them for giving money to primary sitting Republicans they think are too liberal for the caucus. Yeah, I think that's a typo. It says, where does it say, And it says they also say the rules prohibit them for giving money to primary sitting Republicans. I think it's supposed to be the rules prohibit them from giving money. Also, one thing that, honestly, it's not the author's fault. Oh, also, I realized the author is named Brianna Herlihy. I'm sorry, Brianna, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But, yeah, one thing that can be a bit confusing in the English language is, when it comes to politics, whenever the word primary is used as a verb, it means to attempt to, beat out an incumbent in a primary election. It's, not gonna lie, it's a bit awkward. That is grammatically correct, I should point out, but it is still a bit awkward. A GOP political strategist in South Carolina pushed back against those accusations and cast doubt on the Freedom Caucus lawmakers' motivations.
This group of unserious legislators is more focused on social media clips than on getting things done,
the person told Fox News Digital in a statement. Kind of reminds me of the New Right from Thunder on the Right, where Mr. Crawford commented on how the New Right was fixated not necessarily on governing, but, symbolic things and just trying to one-up everyone else, that sort of thing. Some things never change, it seems.
Since their arrival, they have thrown up roadblocks to major advancements in tax reform, Second Amendment rights, and education reform, all in efforts to get content to post online. Some of their membership even personally profit off running campaigns against other Republicans,
the person said.
Regular people in South Carolina are tired of people bringing D.C. politics to our state for their own gain and prefer results over rhetoric. Hopefully, they cry about this all session instead of wasting time in the legislature and preventing the grown-ups from solving real problems,
the source said. See what I mean? I'll admit these are just accusations of profiting off of these campaigns, but it is still reminiscent of Thunder on the Right when, Mr. Vigiri was making bank, running various campaigns for conservative causes. One other thing I want to comment on is that one of the previous speakers of the House in American history was Tip O'Neill of Massachusetts, a Democrat, and one of his quotes that gets thrown around a lot is, all politics is local. Sometimes it's all politics is local politics, or maybe it's all politics are local politics, but the general point of it was that, constituents, even in a national election, will base their votes and their preferences on what's happening locally, even if, the Speaker of the House doesn't have a say over, how a local town's trash services are run. And it seems that classic axiom is getting inverted. As that anonymous guy pointed out, said that there were people, they were complaining about, people bringing DC politics into local issues, and it seems that, now, instead of politics being local, it's being national. Wonder how this will affect our already wonky system. Andrew Roth, president of the State Freedom Caucus Network, said group is
not changing its position.
There's another typo right there. Like it says, Andrew Roth, president of the State Freedom Caucus Network, said group is. It should be said the group is, or even said his group is. Who's the editor, man?
I think with each passing day, the conservative grassroots is siding more and more with the South Carolina Freedom Caucus. It's gaining national attention. It's becoming a huge deal,
he said. Many chose not to sign the so-called loyalty pledge and were quote-unquote kicked out of the GOP conference.
First, we were kicked out of the caucus. Some argue that we chose not to join, but at the December meeting it was clearly stated that if you do not sign the rules, then your membership would be revoked. How can that be?
The group wrote.
We were members when we voted on the rules and in leadership elections during the meeting. Are those elections now not legitimate? We were full members 1 minute, and the next suddenly had our membership terminated. Second, caucus leaders claim that you, the members, intended to throw us out. Many of you have reached out and expressed that you had no intention of passing a rule that would force all members to sign a loyalty pledge or be expelled from the caucus,
the letter said.
Unfortunately, that is exactly what you voted for, and they are wielding this bizarre Soviet-style pledge against your fellow conservatives.
They wrote. I'll be honest, I'm a bit confused with this part of the letter. Like, the letter seems to be from the Freedom Caucus, okay? Then when they refer to the caucus, they seem to be referring to the GOP caucus rather than the Freedom Caucus. So, I was like, the entire GOP within the South Carolina Statehouse, are they, what's the word? It's like, are they saying that, it's like, hey, you Freedom guys, you voted for this, and the Freedom Caucus guys are saying, no, we didn't, or we didn't intend for this. Like, it's honestly a bit confusing, and I can't seem to find a link to the full letter on the site. Maybe I'll find one somewhere, but I'll be honest, I've been sick the past week, and I gotta finish this up. Conservative commentator Glenn Beck weighed in on the controversy on Twitter on Friday.
The GOP in South Carolina seem to have been caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Support your @SC Freedom Caucus over the self-serving rhinos.
I'm pausing in the middle of the quote just to comment on something that you can't see because this is an audio-based medium. The article itself, Glenn Beck, or the tweet referenced in the article itself is just the text. There's not a link to the tweet itself. Rhinos is spelled R-H-I-N-O-S. Now that might be the correct way to spell rhinos, referring to rhinoceri, or whatever the plural of rhinoceros is. But rhino in the context of American politics is an acronym. It's R-I-N-O for Republican in name only. It's used as a bit of a pejorative to describe someone who the Republican Party or members of the Republican Party deem not conservative enough. For the Democrats, there is the much more seldom used Dino, D-I-N-O, for Democrat in name only. I mean, occasionally I might have heard it used to describe Senator's Mansion of West Virginia and Cinema of Arizona, but even then, I'll be honest, I just didn't hear people use those specific acronyms. But anyway, I checked the tweet itself, and yes, in the actual tweet, Glenn Beck misspelled the acronym rhino. Oh, God. Oh, God. What is it with these right-wing conspiracists and their terrible grammar? Grammar and spelling. It's like, it reminds me of, those old messages where, they were written in all caps in red ink. Heck, I even remember in one of Rick Perlstein's books, he talked about, there was, somebody who was using a typewriter to write these all caps, red ink, right-wing screeds. And this was a typewriter, so, this crap, goes well before computers.
The GOP in South Carolina seem to have been caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Support your South Carolina Freedom Caucus over the self-serving rhinos. It is time for the SCGOP to work for the people.
He wrote,
This may be the most important issue we face because it will impact all others.
The Freedom Caucus letter said,
This is the fight for transparency. This is the fight for republicanism. This is the fight for conservatism. Do not allow the group who struggles to abide by, adhere to, or comply with the Republican Party platform expel the Republican wing of the Republican Caucus.
The letter concluded. South Carolina, the source of all evil in the USA. Yep, don't actually think about any implications of what I just said and what that means. I don't know, I'll come up with some joke for South Carolina at some point. I mean, yeah, honestly, it seems that South Carolina, it's just not a state that people think about very much. I mean, sorry, South Carolina, but let's even just look at the original 13 colonies, I mean, you got New Jersey, the state which everyone loves to rag on. You got Delaware, a state that, aside from being the first state, Delaware's joke is that, the joke is that nobody cares about Delaware, or that Delaware is boring, and also it's where corporations hide all their money. Then, you got Maryland, which is a state of crabs. You got Virginia, which is the state where Washington and Jefferson were from. Okay, now that I think about it, North Carolina, that's where the Wright brothers are from. Heck, even Georgia, they got the peaches and such. Florida wasn't one of the original states. But, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to say that South Carolina is the source of evil. Will it work? Maybe. I don't know. You know, me being me, I decided to look at the comments, and surprisingly, the comments are kind of funny. Like if you know, I want to sort by best. There are 71 comments. Yeah, so one of them is like, yep, I'm on Fox, a lengthy article about our Soviet-style pledge, but no excerpts of the pledge itself. This was about 2 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. I mean, the article did reference a few quotes about, like, having to abide by certain rules, I guess, but that's it. Let's see. One of them is Abe Simpson's, like, Caucus weaponized Soviet, all I need now is Soros, and I win Republican buzzword bingo. Someone replied, sorry, you have to include woke to win the GOP buzzword contest. It's like, oh, rats, I missed that, and I really had my heart set on that fruit basket prize. And one more person chimes in, you're gonna have to drop a Marxist, Hillary, and Hunter in there. And for the love of God, man, say something in all caps with large amounts of exclamation points about how the end of America is near. There's a bunch of exclamation points, and then one that's upside down. Guess even the Fox News commenters can have fun. It's pretty nice of them. Well, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, smash that like button and subscribe if you want to. Share this video around to give me that dopamine rush that can only come from strangers on the internet giving me validation. If you want to donate money, there's a link to my coffee in the description. I mean, your money would probably be better off somewhere else, but at the same time, if you do donate money to me, then, well, your money is in safer hands than in the hands of someone who would willingly give me money. Or don't. I'm not your boss. I'm just Facts 5. And right now, I'm signing off. I know that you